All right. Can you state your name again?
David Wakefield.
David Wakefield, and you're from where, David?
Cantu Creek. Cantu Creek, California. That's more of a mailing address. I'm 15 miles from the little town of Cantu Creek.
All right. And what are you going to show me today?
I'll show you some land that has been fouled because of the water that's been taken from us. Well, it's been over the last few years, but this year was very disastrous, and it was called a drought, but we call it a regulatory drought. I call it a political drought because there's sufficient water in the northern part of the state where our water comes from. And we had in Shasta, I think a 96% rainfall of normal, and I think they ended up with an average of 86%, so that's not really considered a drought in anybody's book. But for us, we ended up, our allocation was 10% of we have a certain amount of water for each acre, and it was cut down to 10%.
10%. And all this land around us, is that used to be good farmland?
Oh, yes, yeah. They shut this down a few years ago under another situation, but over the years the land has been shut down. My wife and I, we have almond trees, and of course with a permanent crop, this valley gets no water during the summer, so our water is transported in, and it's so when we got to this 10% of our allocation, it just means death for us. We cannot. We've been able to. We had a bit of water, and we've been able through water banks to buy some water from the northern part of the state from the state side, but it's so expensive. We're not going to stay in business long. I don't anticipate that it stays like this probably next year.
Now, before that, was the water less expensive or free, or?
Well, it was less expensive, but we're paying what a city. The water we're getting, we're paying $450 an acre foot. It should be in the $80 to $100 an acre foot, our contract. So there's no crop that can stand that price. That's drinking water cost. So we're trying to get through this year, and we're just optimistically hoping that next year some of these rules that have been put on us will be corrected to where we can survive.
And is there a certain group of people in Congress or in the state legislature that are mainly doing this? And
yes, we've Pelosi, we've got George Mill. The northern group, they contend that we're taking their water, but we've had contracts for 40 years for a certain amount of water.
So they're taking your water.
So they're taking our water, and our water comes out of Trinity. The Trinity Dam and the Shasta, that was put in, and part of that water was designated for south of the pumps, Tracy area, and so they're saying we're taking their water. Well, they've been taking our water the last few years, so that's a misnomer to say we're taking their water. We never have. We've been blamed. They've got the fish deal that they're saying they need it for these various fish, and ones that smell, and they call that an endangered species, but it's never been put on the endangered species list because it's not an endangered species to begin with. You can find them in Wisconsin, and Nebraska, and Minnesota. So if you hear that, they'll claim it's an endangered species. It's not. But our biggest problem is the sewage. They say we're killing the fish, but the biggest problem is the sewage where we've found that's being dumped in. It's partially treated, and it comes out. Sacramento's dumping 125,000 gallons a month of ammonia, and ammonia out of sewage, that's urine. So it's not. It's partially treated. And that is just a fact. It's urine.
Well, even a fish tank, you need to filter that out with carbon.
And it is ammonia, but you pour an ounce or two of ammonia in a fish tank, and I'll guarantee you know what will happen.
Well, that'll kill them, yeah.
It'll kill them, and then recently a study out of Berkeley on the erythroids, which is a synthetic pesticide. The toxicologist there put out a study, and the erythroids are coming out of the cities, and that's also killing the fish. So between those two, we as farmers saying you people are killing the fish, not us. But there's been no publicity, very little. They want to bury that. You get one article in the papers and then it's buried. They don't seem to know anything about it. Our politicians don't want to talk about it. And that's been our struggle for the last few years is having somebody acknowledge what's actually happening to the Delta.
Now I notice as we drive by here, there are some areas that have all these trees, and that's good area.
Well, no, these are all good area, but we don't have enough water to farm. These are shut down because we don't. Trees are a permanent crop.
Right.
So you've got to have water during the summer. Like I say, this is desert during the summer. If we can't water them, they die. And it's a terrific investment. That's what we're facing is bankruptcy. These trees are going to die.
Yeah, I've seen some areas where the trees are just completely dead. Yeah.
So what water we have, we're leaving other ground like an annual crop. We're leaving those fallow to try to maintain our trees. So that's
okay.
And that's where we've run into trouble. 10% of if anything is not good.
Not good. No.
It's just so we're faced with bankruptcy. There's no other way around it if we don't get something resolved with the politicians.
And even these trees, I noticed that the leaves seem all the way up. I've noticed leaves seem dry. You have to cut back the amount of water you're doing to even just keep them alive.
Yes, and well, we've stressed them a bit, but then we're going into harvest, so they'll show. But yeah, they're already stressed. So the more you put on them, and then one of my neighbors, he just had to cut them back and just try to keep the tree alive. He got a crop, but it's no quality to it. Just very little. So.
Yeah, and doesn't it take a while to bring them back? Like if all those dead trees, if they had to replant them, how long would it take for them to come back to full production?
You got to get them into the leave 5 years to
5 years.
Production. So yeah, right. So you don't have the money's not available. Bankers don't like this sort of situation.
No.
Bankers do not like. You've got to show that you've got water there, or you're not going to be financed, and that's what we're up against.
Well, I imagine some of these bankers lost some money when they cut the water off, and these farms went under. Yeah.
Yes, and there's going to when we refinance the fiscal years or the calendar year, whenever you refinance, you've got to walk in there and say how you're going to manage your crop next year, trees, or they're not going to be too willing to finance you. So that's what we're doing.
So what would you like to see?
We want the reversal of some of these what we call the Endangered Species Act that has given the northern part our contracted water. Those have got to be reversed, and then they've got to take care of the pollution that the cities in the Delta are doing. If they will do that, then there won't be a water crisis. But they're taking our water to flush their sewage. You've got San Francisco on a daily basis. I took an article out of the Fresno Bee. On a daily basis, they dump raw sewage in the bay, but you see a little bit, but that bit on it, but it's never published. It's got to be out there on a weekly basis for people in the cities to understand what's really going on, and that's our problem. That's where we're failing to get the message out to the city, especially LA and San Diego, those areas. They should know that, and they should be backing us up on this water crisis.
Sure, because they have a lot.
They take water from the northern part of the state. They've got contracts. The same contracts are at the same time that those systems were built. It's when their contracts were developed at that point also.